Hey class, it's Professor Rourke. So I had a couple questions about the problems from 6.2. So I wanted to make a video sort of walking through how to solve this because I think it was causing some difficulties. So this problem is one of the problems from the interactive assignment on 6.2, and it says a binomial probability experiment is conducted with the given parameters. Compute the probability of X successes in the N independent trials of the experiment. And then it says N equals 10, P equals 0.7, and X equals 4. So the problems that we did in class mostly were focused around actual word problems, which honestly, I think make these problems a little simpler, a little more easy to understand. So sometimes I like to just sort of pretend that the numbers they give us here actually mean something to give it some context. So when it says n equals 10, that's number of trials. So I don't know, let's say for 10 days. Okay. P equals 0.7. That's the probability of a success. So let's say it's the probability of, and it doesn't have to be an actual success. So it's saying the probability that you get stuck in traffic. Okay. So you have a 70% chance that you get stuck in traffic every day for 10 days. And then this particular problem wants to know what's the probability when X equals 4? So what's the probability that you get stuck in traffic out of those 10 days exactly 4 times? Okay, so you don't have to contextualize it that way. It's just that when I see N equals 10, I feel like it, for me, I like to make sense of it. All right, and then the probability again is the probability of a success. And then we're looking for where X equals 4. So the question also rewrites it with a capital P parentheses 4. So again, this is asking the probability of exactly 4 successes. So whether you want to contextualize it with sort of like a problem or you don't want to, that is all good. Either way, we need to open up StatCrunch to solve this. You can do this in your graphing calculator as well, which works. But I am going to solve this particular problem in StatCrunch and also point you to where we have some resources for our class that up until now we might not have had to feel like we need, but they are helpful and I want to make sure you remember they're there. So another challenging part about the section is there is no button, there's no blue square for StatCrunch. So what we have to do is kind of go the long way and click Get More Help and then click StatCrunch from within the problem. So StatCrunch is going to open anytime now. Anytime now. Let's see. Okay, so that took a minute, but StatCrunch opened up. And again, it's weird because it's not copying any information over. So we just have to open up StatCrunch on our own, and then we go to Stat, and then we go to Calculator, and then we go to Binomial. Okay, so this particular problem has, and we fill our information in. N equals 10. That is actually what they already have there, but whatever the number of trials is, you would put that in for N. P is the probability of success, and it's 0.7. And then we want to know when X equals 4. We push compute, and it tells us right here that the probability is 0.03675691. And it says, do not round to a final answer, then round to 4 decimal places. So one other thing that is rather confusing in this section is that they do the explanations I'll show you go way into depth in combinations and permutations, which is confusing because we took that out of this course. So we don't know much about anything about combinations or permutations. So when they show you by hand, we don't have the skills to do that because we haven't learned those. So we really kind of have to rely on technology to be able to do that. It's not terrible, but it's just the class curriculum as a whole decided to focus more so on the statistics applications and not probability, which could be a whole other course that we focus on. Okay, so when it says do not round to the final answer, they're talking about if you did it by hand, which we don't do. So it does say to for decimal places, I just wrote down a few numbers and then I figured I'd go back and figure out the rounding. So 4 decimal places would be 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'd chop it off after the 7, but then there's a 5 next to that. So then my answer should round to 0.0368. Okay, so I hope this was helpful. Again, this was from 6.2, one of the problems on the homework, the interactive assignment. Don't forget also that on Canvas, I know there's so many resources between my math lab and Canvas and notes, but on Canvas for each of these sections, there are videos that detail how to calculate the mean and standard deviation for 6.2. There's also videos that walk you through StatCrunch and also the graphing calculator. So just don't forget about those. I know it's a lot that I always throw at you, but especially in this second half of the course, it's going to be very helpful to have these resources available to you if we're not in class and you're working on some homework. Okay, thank you so much, class. Keep me posted if you have any other questions.